What's good? What's good? What's good with y'all, YouTube? This your girl Nick coming to you today with House of the Dragon, episode number 6, The Princess and the Queen. So the episode starts with a grown Rhaenyra. She's actually in labor, giving birth to what we come to see is her third child, a boy. Seems she's giving birth to all sons. Um, she gives birth to the baby, and it's like as soon as the baby comes out, um, a maiden comes in and tells her that the queen has requested to see the baby, and I'm like, she just gave fucking birth. Like, let her wipe them off, clean them up, but we all know what it is. You know, the season episode 5 left off with uh Allison declaring war by wearing that green dress, and ever since then she's been in opposition of Nera, and like she got her foot on it. She trying to put her foot on Nera's neck because she knows that Nera slept with Kristen Cole, and she feels like Nera isn't. And she's mad. She hurt and she mad because Nera lied to her, and now her father's gone when her father was really telling the truth. Um, when they tell Nera that she wants to see the baby immediately, and Nera attempts to stand up and says she gonna take the baby to the queen herself. And next thing you know, we see Lena into the room after she's giving birth, and he looks on the baby or whatever, and he helps her, and they go walking to show the baby um to the queen. First of all, when she stands and trying to get herself together, she immediately starts to pass the afterbirth. And she stands and she's taking this baby to the queen. And when I tell you she's climbing all these stairs, it's like so many stairs that she climbing. But Lena is right there. Lenore is right there holding her. As she carries this baby and takes him. And I just can't believe she's walking all them steps. To me, this actor that they have playing the older version of Lena looks just like the little boy who used to play Franklin on the show My Wife and Kids. He was the best friend to their youngest daughter, Katie. Except for this actor, is smaller feature. He's thin. The last time I saw the actor that played Franklin on My Wife and Kids, he was on he was playing a football player on the show All American. And he was more buff. So I'm guessing this is not him because he would have had to lose a lot of weight to play this role. But the face looks just like him. But anyway, they asked him what's the baby. They asked them what's the baby name. They get to the queen in the king's chambers. The king is all smiles overjoyed at his newest grandson, his third grandson. They say, well, what is his name? Before Nera could really say that they didn't think of a name yet, Lena blurts out his name gonna be Joffrey, so he didn't name this baby after his lover that was killed the day that they got married by Kristen Cole. So before they can leave the king's chambers, Allison pulls Lena in closely and very shady and catty, like she said. You know what? Keep trying. Eventually, you'll get one that resembles you. Throwing salt in the game again. To me, it looked like the hair that was on the baby. That before they took the baby up there, Rhaenyra might have shaved any little bit of hair that was on his head because all the children got dark hair like Harwin. They get back to the room and stuff, and we do see Harwin come in and greet the little baby. And it's like doting over him and all that kind of stuff a little bit. I said, so he really like showing that that's his kid. Next thing we see the kids with the dragons because there was a scene when Lena comes into the room and he takes the boys to tell them that they need to come go with him to the dragon caves or whatever. So they go down there and we see Jace being given his dragon. A dragon is brought up from the dragon cave, and then there's a the dragon keepers speaking in High Valerian, and they're like kind of like trying to teach Jace how to command to become one with his dragon or whatever. So he's commanding the dragon. You know when they say Dracarys, that means fire, fire. They bring out a baby sheep. I think that was a baby sheep, and during this time, the two boys are there. The two Valerian boys are there. Jace, and I don't even remember them saying the other one's name. But it's Jace, his name is Jacearis. Uh, and Aemond and Aegon are the two sons that Alicent has with the king, King Viserys. Aegon is the older one. He's probably about 16. Aemond looks to be about 8 or 9. Maybe, no, I'm going to say about between 8 and 10. 8 and 10. They standing there, they watching. Jace commands Dracarys. Dracarys blows the fire on the sheep wheels. And they are basically giving him the pat like, good job. Aegon turns to Aemond and says, oh, we got yours too, you ready? And he looks down into the dragon keep. It's dark, it's pitch black, you can't see nothing. And here they come with a damn pig playing games with Aemond. Aemond was like, what? So he takes upon himself to run down there into the dragon keep and look in there and look at whatever dragon is down there. He comes upon one. The dragon notices him and like, ah, and breathes fire. When he do that, Aemond is scared and he runs back up. He runs, and that's where he sees his mom talking to his sister. Helena is the second born to Alicent and King Viserys. She looked like she probably about between 13 and 14 or so. Aemond runs up and like, basically tells his mother that Aegon and them tricked him again. They said that they was giving him a dragon and they actually gave him a pig. And she was talking to Helena, just talking to her about wait a minute. Oh well, I don't remember what she was talking to her about, but when after this she you know how she do, she coaching her daughter basically about life as as a princess and all those things like that. She immediately gets up and goes to the king to talk to him about what happened to Aemond. So she's all fussing and she all like, you know what? I know it was those little savages and menacing grandsons of yours that did this to Aemond. They keep making fun of him and doing stuff to him or whatever. And Viserys is like, basically like, those are my grandsons. They are kids, and then they younger than Aemond. So how can you feel? How can you automatically assume that they came up with this on their own to do this to Aemond? Do you not think that Aegon had something to do with this? So she's like, no. So then, um, it's just bad that she calling them all those negative names, a menace, savages, and all that. She asked him, um, when he tells her, are you sure Aegon didn't put them up to doing this? Because how could these younger kids do this to Aemond all alone without the help of Aegon or whatever? So then that's when she was like, you know what? It's a wonder that um Nearest sons, it's a wonder that their dragon eggs hatched. Basically throwing more shade about the fact that they not for real Targaryen Valerian because they don't have the white hair, they have the dark hair, like who she suspects their father is, which is Harwin. So the king tells this story about this black mare that he had, and one day she got out, she escaped, and she went off into the woods. She came upon a silver stallion. The stallion mated her, and when it came time for her to give birth, the foal or the baby horse came out chestnut. So basically, it's a thing of nature. Like, you just never know what. There's no guarantee that you're going to get a silver haired child, basically, is what he's saying. So he's choosing to overlook all the signs that's right in front of his face that Rhaenyra is not sleeping with Laenor and making these babies, okay? Of course, this pisses Alicent off even more. And he also forbids her to even speak of it again. The fact that Rhaenyra is possibly betting the king of the Lord of the City Watch, which is Harwin Strong. He tells her, don't question those kids' paternity at all anymore. Like, just leave the whole subject alone. She not buying it. She like, fuck it, I'm gonna say what I want to say and do what I want to do. So she's so pissed about it. So she leaves the king's chambers, walking down the hall with Kristen Cole, and he is super, super salty that Nera chose not to run away with him and keep her position as heir on the throne and wanted to make him a whore. So he talking shit and was like talking shit about her and called her a spoiled cunt. And he realized he went too far and immediately apologized to Alicent for saying it and being so blunt about what he was saying about Nera. Alicent comes into Aegon's room. Aegon standing in the damn window, butt naked, masturbating. So when she opens the door, he hurry up and falls down and covers himself with a sheet. She questions him about whose idea it was to give Aemon a pig estate instead of the dragon. He immediately says it was Jace's idea. And he started laughing. He was like, it was funny anyway, because Aemon is nothing but a little twat. So I'm guessing calling Aemon is a twat, of course, is basically calling him soft and sissified, a punk. She admonishes Aegon and was like, that's your brother. What you do to him inside these walls is one thing. But out in public in front of other people, you're going to stand up and you're going to stick up for your brother. You're going to let them know that y'all united and y'all a strong front. She reminds him that, in some years... Wait a second, y'all. Alright, y'all, we're back. So basically, she tells Aegon that, you getting almost to be a grown up and you need to take all of this politicizing and all that kind of stuff, you need to take it more serious because eventually y'all will be in danger because once your father, basically when your father dies, Nera will take on the throne and she's putting in his head the same stuff her father used to put in hers, that they in danger because Nera will do whatever it takes to keep her position and be heir to the throne, and she gonna kill them or whatever. And he was, because at first he was just like, well, if she assumes her position as heir, so what? Like, I don't care. He was complacent. And she jacked him up like, no, you are the king's firstborn son and you are the rightful heir to the throne, not her. I'm like, girl, there you go. Sounded just like that damn Otto. She does not want Rhaenyra and what she presumes to be her bastard sons to be heirs to the throne. Then we get to a scene, we see somebody flying a big red dragon. We know that's Daemon because Daemon's dragon is red. It's him and Lady Lena riding dragons. They've gotten married and had 3 daughters. They are in a town called Pintos. They are welcomed by somebody named Reggie Horatio or Horatio or whatever his name is. He's the Lord of Pintos. And they're having dinner. And he's looking at Damon and Lena. And he starts to talk and do a toast. And he's like, okay, so yeah, they at the dinner with this guy. He's making a toast, talking about Aegon the Conqueror, how he united these cities and did all this stuff. And then once he starts to get ready to talk some more, Lady Lena, she assumes that he's getting ready to ask for one of her daughters' hand in marriage to one of his sons. And he was like, no, 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 that's not it. That's not it. He was like, the triarchy has gotten together. So it's the Martells got together with the people in Dorne. And it's another place, I don't recall the name. But they've gotten together and he's like, they didn't form this triarchy. And he feels nervous about them trying to wage war and come north and take over the land of Pentos. And he extends an offer to Damon to stay there and stay there as long as he wants. He can have his fill of anything. They got gold and everything, and jewels and rubies, but they don't have the dragons to help them fight if somebody comes to wage war and try to take over their land. Lady Lena is like, no, we're travelers. Like, no, we don't wish to extend our stay any longer than what it has been. She's currently pregnant. Damon says, wait, we'll hear him out. We'll think about his offer. So the dinner is over. We see Damon and Lena walking and talking. And Lena is like, why would you let them make a fool of you? He only wants to use you because they don't have the army to fight if somebody comes in. We are travelers. We don't settle in one place like this. And don't let them sit up there and use you to fight their war that might be coming to them. Don't you want to go home to where you from? Don't you miss King's Landing? Don't you miss Westeros? I want to go home. So he says no, he don't miss it or whatever. So apparently Damon hasn't been there since the wedding of Laenor to Nera. And next thing you know, we see she also makes sure to tell him that the offer that he gave you is beneath you. And I'm thinking to myself, not really, because they was offering him that he can stay and he has access to anything he want. He can go through the town and take whatever he want, all those things like that, right? He can have whatever if he stays there and makes a home there to fight for them when the people try to wage war against him because he got them dragons. And he told her, like, listen, we got dragons, they got gold. I'm trying to go for the gold, basically. So next thing we see Kristen with Aemond and Aegon, Jace and his younger brother all in the courtyard. They are practicing. They got the wooden swords practicing on the dummies or whatever, practicing their swordsmanship. Aegon is like showboating after a while. Kristen was like, "You think you're doing so good? You and your brother come and try to see if you can touch me with the wooden swords." So he doing whatever. And they trying to attack Kristen with no success. Harwin comes by and looks and like, why aren't you being fair? Like, aren't you supposed to give all of them the same lesson, the same training? Because he notices that Kristen is ignoring Rhaenyra's sons, which are basically his sons. So that's when Kristen was like, okay, I know what to do. I'll split them in two. You're gonna have the eldest, Nyra's eldest son against Alicent's oldest son, and then you're gonna have the two younger sons go against each other. And Harwin is like, but how is that fair? He has a unfair disadvantage. Aegon is about 16. Um, Nero's son is no more than 9. Because 10 years have passed. So he about 9. Because it take 9 months to get, it take time to get pregnant and bake a baby. So the little boy can't be no more than 9. Aegon about 16. So he like, that's not going to be fair. And the match goes on. Kristen is coaching Aegon to be especially cruel to Jace once he flips Jace over and get Jace on the ground. Because at one point, Harwin told Jace, like, he got an unfair height advantage, so you got to be staying steady and strong on your feet or whatever to attack him. Aegon, of course, gonna have the upper hand. He flips Jace over. He on top of him, still hitting him with the sword. And Kristen is still encouraging him to be extra cruel. Harwin goes over and stops it, pulls Aegon off, throws Aegon, and then says to Kristen, "You know what the hell is wrong with you? Why you coach? That's how you want him to be. That's how a knight is supposed to act, to be usually cruel to their opponent." And that's when Kristen gets sassafras, and throws his shade out there and said, "You coming at me over him as if he's a cousin, a nephew, or perhaps a son." I said, "Oh shit." And the whole time this is going on, King V and the Hand, which is Harwin's father, Lionel, it's basically like the boys being in the yard and the parents being on the porch watching. That's how it was. And they see this whole thing play out. Once Kristen says that, Harwin goes there, yokes him up, throws him on the ground, and just start beating him mercilessly until somebody picks him up and gets him off of him. And he says a whole bunch of stuff as he's fussing and they taking him away or whatever, right? Next thing you know, Nera is in her room. They give her the cloth to put over her breast for the milk and all that kind of stuff. And the maiden runs in and was like telling her what happened in the yard just now. So Nera immediately gets up, leaves her room to go down the hall to try to figure out or see what's going on. And she overhears and starts to eavesdrop on Lionel admonishing Harwin for what he did. He said everybody um sees it, and you, Nera, and them kids could be punished by death if it's confirmed that you the father of them kids or whatever. Like, y'all can die. Harwin is like, it's just rumors spun by people who hate Nera and who don't want her to be heir to the throne. Lionel was like, people aren't blind, even if the king refuses to see what's right in front of him. Like, everybody know that them kids is Harwin's kids. So then, we see Nera is back in her room, sitting there with the thing on her chest, just thinking about what she just heard, what she just overheard or whatever. We start to hear loud singing and boisterous laughter and all that kind of stuff coming towards her room. The door's open. It's Lena and some new person named he introduces by the name of Carl. And Carl is spelled with Qarl. Lena is obviously drunk, and Nera asks Carl to leave them so they can talk. And he going on and on about Carl and showed him some rubies, and also that, basically what's going over there with Dawn and the triarchy and all that kind of stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, shit, that's where that's where Damon at. He ain't in Dawn, but he over there in Pentos or Pentos or whatever, right? So she like, you up here traipsing around and getting drunk with him, but you know what's going on. You know all these rumors are going around about the paternity of these kids. And he's like, well, he told me about these rubies and stuff, and I want to go over there and see what that's all about, because You know, I'm a king of the narrow seas. Like, I'm used to being on a ship. He used to be in a Navy man type man or whatever. That's what his birthright is. He don't want to be stationed at that damn castle no more. He want to get up and go. And he said something about people supposed to leave at the site of the site of the storm, or at the brewing of the storm, not when the storm actually gets there. Come to him. You're supposed to escape when you know the storm is brewing, not when it actually gets to you or whatever, right? He said basically, you know, he tired of playing this part for the last 10 years that he been playing. He gay. You know I'm gay. You know me. You're not sleeping together or whatever. And yeah, I've been having my fun with different people around here, whatever. But like, I'm tired of being here. She reminds him of the agreement that they made, cause he felt like he done his duty to the throne. She was like, but remember that agreement we made long ago? And she was like, you know, he was like, I'm leaving. I don't care about that agreement or what you said. She looked at him and she said, as your queen and heir to the throne, I command you to stay here by my side and do as I say. And that's what he was just sitting there looking stupid. Next thing you know, Lena, she rides Vega, the biggest of the dragons. We find this out because we see her daughter. I don't recall the name. We see her daughter with her dragon's egg, putting her dragon's egg in the fire, trying to convince it to hatch. And she comes in the room and she talking to her, and the little girl is basically telling her mother like she feel left out because her dragon, she don't have a dragon yet. Her dragon egg hasn't hatched. You know, she got Vega. The mother said, "Yeah, I have Vega, the biggest dragon out there, or whatever." And the mother said something about she was going to talk to Damon about something for the little girl. And the little girl basically said that Damon don't pay her no attention. Like, he don't give a shit about her or whatever. So I'm just thinking like, damn, what's that about? So she leaves and Lena leaves and goes to Damon. She says, Damon never had another baby boy. He come out his mouth with, oh, does this child also remember does this child also resemble the commander of the city watch? I said, oh fuck, he ain't even over there, and he know what the fuck Rhaenyra is up to, or what she been doing. Next thing, you know, there is a meeting with the council. Everybody there. King V is there, Allison is there, Nera is there, Lana was there, and so is the other ones. It's one up there, he real old at this point, and they was basically saying like, talking to him as if he's like slow to hear what's going on, he's hard of hearing. And because they was like, we're going to leave, and he was still sitting there. They was like, no, we already talked about that, already, or whatever. But so they having a meeting, they discussing what's going over with the River Run Tullys and the Brackens or something like that. And Allison comes up with a solution to some issue that they was having. Nera speaks up and she opposes whatever Allison's resolution is. And that's when they talk about Dorne, the Triarchy over there, and the Martells is involved. Remember Lady Martell that killed poisoned Joffrey in the original Game of Thrones? Yeah. So they having to talk about that, which is the same thing that the Lord of Pentos was talking to Damon about, right? And somebody in the council even mentions Damon, like, where Damon? And we ain't seen or heard of him since the wedding, basically. And they want to know where he stands on what's going on over there. And so then somebody brings up the stepstones, and they was just like, you know, because Damon, you know, they crowned Damon king of the stepstones in the Narrow Sea because he defeated the Crab King or the Crab Feeder, whatever. But once he did that, he just left the stepstones to ruin. Like, he didn't go over there, he didn't command, he didn't do anything or whatever. And that's when Nera was like, she's like, you know what? They should not have left the stepstones unattended. We should have did this, that, and so forth, and had command over and made it part of our territory. Allison was like, no. We don't have the money for the upkeep of the stepstones. We running out of money, armies, and options, right? And then Nero gets mad and was like, the cost of war is greater, and an old monster has reared its ugly head once again, meaning that those other faraway lands like Dorne, the Martells, and all them, they got together and formed this triarchy, remember? So that means that war is coming. So, the meeting is basically adjourned or whatever, and Nero was like, hold up, I wish to speak. So everybody starts to stops and turns around, and the king tells everybody, sit and listen to what she has to say. Nera is standing, and Allison refuses to sit in defiance of Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra starts with an apology and says, she's tired of all the strife between her family, and Allison's family. She's tired of it. She apologizes for it. She said, we used to be friends once, remember? And then that's when she offers a solution, and the solution is, won't we betroth my Jace to your daughter Helena? And I said, what the hell? So you want the aunt to marry her nephew? Because that's what they are. They aunt and nephew, but they really is weird because their aunt and nephew, Jace and Helena. But it's like they kind of aren't they kind of like cousins a little bit too, because of all of the mixing. It's just gross. It's just gross. And the King V is overjoyed at this idea, and he's in agreement with Nera to do this. And she also Allison is like irritated still. Nera promises that when the next batch of dragon's eggs come, Aemon will have his choice of whichever dragon egg he wants. So the meeting is officially adjourned or whatever. And as they leaving the meeting, Allison telling the king like, how sweet she can be when she knows she's cornered and she no longer has control or is at the top of the food chain. The king is like, no, that's not what it was. She was being genuine. Basically, Allison is looking at him like bullshit. She knows she's losing her leverage, and she's being weakened. So the king says, you know what, y'all need to put away these childish quarrels y'all done had over the last decade, and you need to take her up on her offer. Allison was like, whatever. You can do whatever you wish once I'm dead and cold in the damn ground. You're not marrying my daughter to her son, basically, over my dead body. So then we see Lionel come into the king's chamber because they go to his chambers. Allison gets him, in the chair, put the blanket over him and everything. So Lionel come in, he's trying to resign from his job as hand of the king because he embarrassed about what happened with Harwin earlier in the yard. And it's like he felt like he can't give unbiased counsel to the king. His counsel won't be tainted by, what happened earlier. The king is like, no, that's not necessary. You've been the best advisor and hand of the king that I've ever had. Way better than Otto. And it's not necessary because we already gave Harwin his punishment. His punishment was that he was taken or suspended from being the commander of the City Watch. So Lana was very, very adamant, like, no, I need to resign because I feel like it's a dark shadow over my house. And I don't think I can advise you the best way without being biased. So when he said it's a dark shadow, the king said, well, what's the dark shadow? Like, just say it. That damn Allison perks up at this, and she looking at Lionel. She goes, yeah, say it. Tell us what this dark shadow is. And she was like, what shadow? Because she hoped that he going to finally admit that Harwin fathered Nera's children, right? And Lionel said, I can't speak it. I just can't say it. And the king says, well, if you can't say it to me, then that means that you're not leaving. I will not accept your resignation as hand of the king. So Lionel was like, well, can I just have a little bit of time off? Because I'm going to take Harwin back to Harrenhal, where we're from. And I'm going to teach him and make him take over my duties over at Harrenhal or whatever. Since he was relieved of his duties on the as commander of the City Watch. So the king like, okay, cool. Next thing you know, Allison pissed about that, so she leaves the king's chambers and goes to hers. She enters her chambers. Who's there already with the table set, pouring the wine? Laris. He waiting for her. He said, you know what? Usually I come to you in the evenings and I'm spilling all the tea to you over dinner. But today, you got all the tea to spill to me since I was not present for all the stuff that happened over the course of the day, like Harwin's outbursts in the yard and what was said in the council meeting. So they talk about King Viserys' refusal to accept Lionel's resignation. Larys is very, very shady. He was hoping his father would have come out and just told the king what was obvious to everybody else in that Harwin had been batting nearer, and those kids are Harwin's kids and not Laenor's kids or whatever. And he was like, he wanted him to do that to know that his advice would be biased and that he needed to leave. So they go back and forth about their fathers, and Allison was like, if my father was here, because Larry was like, had it been the other way around, would you tell on your kid, or would you do what's necessary to protect your kid, basically? And she was like, no, I wouldn't try to protect my kid, I would be fair and just. And she was like, I need my father here because my father would he would protect me, or he would be in my corner or something, she said. Next thing you know, because he told her, your father was very obvious about having his own self-interest in the advice that he was giving the king. And Laris is like, no, she got angry. And she was like, at least her father would be biased toward her. But she not be biased towards her children. Next thing you know, we see Laris in the dungeons. He down there in the damn jail cells. And he go up to the gates and he tell the prisoners, I come to offer you mercy as long as you do this one thing for me. And I'm like, what the fuck is he going to do? We see them put one prisoner down and cut his tongue out. So I'm guessing that was the one prisoner who was like, nope, I ain't doing it. Next thing we see Lena in labor. She's on all fours. Obviously, she's having the same issues as Lady Emma was having when Queen Emma was having when she was in labor with Balon. The Maester the Maester tells Daemon basically the same thing. The baby, we done everything we could. The baby won't come down. We can cut her. And Daemon's like, will that kill her? And the Maester was like, it definitely will. And there's no guarantee that the baby gonna survive. I said, damn. Next thing you know, we see that fucking Lena walking up to her dragon, Vagar, with her blood-soaked and stained nightgown. She goes up to Vagar and says, Dracarys, Dracarys. She says it like 4 times. Vagar wails. She don't want to do it. Next thing you know, you see David coming from around the corner, and he calls out to her, Lena! Fucking Vacaris opens up her mouth. Psh, fire on Lena. Lena basically commits suicide because she know that she gonna die, and it's like, well, I don't know what this baby gonna be, because of course they don't have no way of telling if it's a boy or a girl back then, but she knows that she gonna die whether they cut her or not, and there's no guarantee the baby gonna survive. So she just lets Vagar take both of them out. And I just like, oh, wow. Wow. Next thing you know, we see Harwin saying his goodbyes to Nira, and Jace is standing next to it. The other little boy is playing, and the newborn baby is in her arms. He tells Jace he promises to return. He kisses the newborn on the forehead and says he'll be a stranger when he sees him again, because the newborn is a newborn. They don't even know who Harwin is. I said, if this ain't telling of the relationship that they had and that, what went down with them, I don't know what else is. So he he leaves. As soon as he's out of earshot, Jace turns to Nira and said, "Is he my father? Am I a bastard?" I said, shit, kids be knowing. Kids be fucking knowing what's going on. You can't hide stuff from kids for forever. Then we see Lena in the yard training with his friend Carl. Nera approaches and says she ready to leave King's Landing. She tired. Lena like, but what about the promise you made to wed Jace to Helena? She like, child, that was not going to happen. They've been undermining me. The staff and everybody around here been whispering these rumors about the paternity of my children. I just want to leave. I just want to get away. So then he also says, but remember what you said. If you're not here, that damn Allison will be all in your father's ear with her sweet tongue, changing his mind and warping his mind about things. And she was just like, you know what? I don't care. We should have left years ago. And then she used his words against him about, you're supposed to leave when you know the storm is brewing, not when the storm gets to you. So I'm like, oh, and then I start to think, is she really ready to leave because of the rumor mill? Or is she ready to leave because her lover is gone? And she also looked at Harwin like a protector of some sort. We know Lena to be a warrior and he can fight as well, despite the fact that he likes to be with men. He can fight as well, but I guess that she feels like Lena not strong enough to go up against whatever Allison got in her pocket, or whatever, or whomever Allison got in her pocket. Next thing you know, we see some people leaving, and it's actually Lionel and Harwin with their people on it headed to Harrenhal, where they from, right? Next thing you know, as they going down, we see some people cloaked in robes come up out the grass. It's the fucking prisoners. I said, that's what Laris did. Laris let the prisoners out so that they can go and kill. So I'm watching this and I'm assuming that they're gonna go kill Harwin or whatever. Well, no, because that would work to his advantage. That wouldn't work. Don't nobody care about Harwin being killed because Harwin is being banished to Harrenhal anyway. He's sending them to do something to his fucking father. And next thing you know, we see the father in the bed sleep. And then we hear he's awakened by banging on his door. It's fire, fire, fire. And in the hall, it's Harwin. It's fire consuming the hallway. And Lionel can't. He gets up. He try to get the door open because there's no fire in his room. He trying to get the door open and let Harwin in. He can't get the door open. So basically, they both got burned alive in the house that in the fire that the prisoners set. And next thing you know, we see them bringing out some skeletons out of, like, the next day we see skeletons coming out. So then we hear a narrator talking about what are children but a weakness, a folly, a futility. Through them you cheat the darkness of its victory. You persist forever in some form, meaning that your life, your bloodline lives and goes on. But there are decisions to be made, moves to make. But for love and for your children, A lot of times you make errors and you make moves that you otherwise wouldn't for love and trying to protect your children. And basically, love is a downfall. And then we see Laris, and that's when I realized that was Laris narrating that part. And we see him letting Allison know that it was him who got his father killed. So now she can send for her father to come back and be the hand of the king. She was like, but I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for you to do that. Like, why would you do, basically, why would you do that? I didn't ask for that. And he was just like, well, whatever. Send for your father, and at some point, you're going to give me my reward for doing this. You will reward me. And the episode goes off, and I'm just like, oh, freaking wow. Mm-mm-mm. And that's the end of the episode, y'all. I hope y'all reviewed it. This part is 30 minutes. The other part I filmed was maybe like 11 minutes. So it's cut down a little bit. Um, for those of you who subscribed to me recently, I'm forever grateful for the subscription. Keep tuning in for my reviews. I hope this one was good. I hope it was condensed enough. Don't forget to click the like and subscribe buttons on your way in or on your way out. And get in the comments and let's discuss what's going on over there at King's Landing and all that. Cause if you were a woman and you knew you couldn't give birth to the child, you was gonna die anyway. Cause you muster up the strength and the courage it is to stand in front of your dragon and command your dragon to burn your ass alive. I don't know. I don't know. And what about the decisions and stuff like that that you make all for the love of your kids and protecting your kids? It was a lot this episode. All for the kids. All for the kids. Thanks for clicking. I see y'all in the next one. See you. Also, quick thing. I told y'all that daggone Larry Strong was gonna end up being House of Dragons version of Peter Baelish from the Game of Thrones. And that's what he's ending up being. Watch.